I'd like to call the Wednesday, November 9th Board of Works and Public, or Board of Public Works and Safety to order. It is 9 a.m. We will begin with the pledge. Brett Benversi, please lead us. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
Excuse me,
3.
Mayor, is that for both sets of minutes?
That is for both sets of minutes.
Yep.
Public comment. Anybody here from the public or on social media?
Nothing on social media yet.
Clerk Treasurer, claims approval.
Bear with me, it's been a while since I've had to do this. We have lots of claims today. We have this October 28th payroll for $471,106.20.
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have the police fitness bonus, which was for 9 officers this time, for $3,195.72.
I move we approve the police fitness bonus.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have the fire fitness bonus, which was for this particular one, was for 33 firefighters, for $11,717.64.
I move we approve the fire fitness bonus.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then we have one also for just one firefighter that was left off the original for $355.08.
I move we approve this individual fire fitness bonus.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have civil city claims in an amount of $1,050,146.28. That does include November health insurance.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have wastewater claims in the amount of $694,112.76. That does include several transfers for the month.
I move we approve the wastewater claims.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have water claims in the amount of $353,093.07.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Any others?
That's it on claims.
Approval of third-party agreement.
Chief might be able to explain this more. This is for the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force Agreement for 2023. Courtney just wanted it to come before the board for approval. The grant is for $8,000, and it is for,
It's for our drug unit guys for their overtime, cover their overtime.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this was for the
It's-
arrests that were made?
Well, that's part of it. If it's an investigation that goes outside of our boundaries or what they normally work, then HIDA picks up that overtime.
And was this getting out of a grant?
this is a grant. This is a third-party grant that's handled by a different community.
Right.
The city is part of that, so when they're working special cases, they reimburse us for the overtime for that officer. And this is
An
for next year.
example, there was a large case that went into South Bend. There was a lot of overtime in that. And because it was multi-county, they pick up the overtime on that. because our guys are working that, and there's seizure money also coming back on that we're waiting for as well.
But these funds also help address
Yes.
the playpen that's public, you know,
right.
if you didn't see that. Can you give just a brief of how many arrests were done related to the fentanyl?
I believe there were 13. Some of them were repeat from last time. That was an investigation that picked up after the original one and will continue at this time. That's the fentanyl pills, basically. The stripped down version, it's the pills that look like any other, you know, Tylenol or whatever, and they're peddling
Candy.
that. Candy, yeah. It's the number one killer, obviously, but that, they picked that up again, and they'll continue to work that too, and drive that message home. And the reason it's called playpen, these are all young people, young adults.
Is there a limit that, what was the total grant for?
$8,000.
Further discussion? Member Romine, I want to make sure you're comfortable.
Do we request every time this goes into play?
They turn in overtime cards, and then I sign off that they were actually there, and then we submit them to the clerk treasurer's office.
Okay.
And we-
Actually, that's handled by Dana Henderson in Michigan City. I think she keeps track of all of it, and then she submits once a month to me.
Right, and then we submit once a month for the reimbursement.
Okay.
In situations like this, whether it's a different department or whether it's our department doing it for another department, is all the time for the investigation billed as overtime?
Not all of it. This is just anything over. I mean, if it falls under their scope of their regular duty, then they're part of it. That's part of being part of this organization.
Oh,
This
okay,
is-
so I want, yeah.
This is
'cause I wanted-
something, if they say they're working Porter County, and they're out on something, and they're 2-3 hours over, that goes towards that.
Okay.
This is, I believe, going to be our 4th year
Right.
doing this for 2023, so we've
Right.
done it for 3 years. It's never come before Board of Works for approval. Courtney thought it should.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
It's a good partnership. There's federal agents in that, and the contacts are unbelievable being part of this.
Further discussion?
Did we have a second?
Yes.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. All right, we'll begin with department head reports. Andrea Smith, Human Resources.
Good morning, everyone. Happy day after election. I will be back under job descriptions to discuss in further detail 3 new job descriptions. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Warner, Water.
Thank you and good morning. The water department will be finishing up their fall flushing this week. The crews have been out for about 3 weeks, flushing the hydrants, making sure they're in good working order around the city. Something I did want to bring up, we haven't had many dirty water complaints, from stirring up from those hydrants. I'm not sure if we're just breaking a lot of that sediment out, or if we're doing a good job as a city getting that information out to the public, where we're not getting that many calls to the water department where our crews have to go out and flush individual houses. So I do appreciate everybody keeping track of what we post online. It is really freed up a lot of time this last fall flushing for us. Other than that, the construction crews are winding down their projects for the year. We tied in a lot of dead-end mains this year, put in about 2,000 foot of main. So we're happy to be done with the construction season for a year. So we'll be gearing up for main break season. As everybody knows, it's getting cold out, so that will be among us here pretty quick. The Kankakee well line is back in service. I don't know if everybody remembers, but we had to drop that down for the Lofkin Road 150 project that the county lowered that hill about 7 feet, so we had to replace some 18-inch main there. First time that main has been shut down. It's a 110-year-old main, so we had some problems getting it back in service to pass back tease test. So we had about 2 weeks of testing and flushing to get that line back in service. So that's good. That's 3 wells that feed the east plant out of the 6. So we were down about half capacity at the east plant, which does about 60% of our pumping. We dealt with that during the fire of American Rubber. we really could have used them wells at that time, but they are back in order and back in service now. Other than that, we'll be winterizing our different properties, water towers, booster stations, things of that nature, just getting ready for the winter. They say it's going to be a cold one, so we will be ready for it. That's all I have this morning.
Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
Sorry I was late. We had a semi drive into the treatment plant and dig a big hole and get stuck way in the back. I don't know how this guy got so lost. He wasn't coming to us. But
He went into the back part?
yeah, he wandered all the way through our roads, all the way in the back, so. And we were worried about a comm line he dug a big hole over, so hopefully we're good.
Jerry, you're a big lifter. Did you just pull it semi right out yourself?
Not quite on that scale.
I'm glad it happened this year because we can add it to the checklist of everything else that's happened this year of
It's
unique things, so.
Been an interesting year, yes. And then to add insult to injury, I got here late and I need to leave early because I got a closing at 9:30, so I gotta go.
And I want to make sure you have,
I just got the one item, the pay request for phosphorus.
okay. Nick Minnick, engineering.
Just a quick update, 708 Lincoln Way, we haven't had any Board of Works meetings since that, had the failure of the structural front of the building. We've kind of stayed involved as the city, so NDOT originally took over some of the traffic control. Our street department is still maintaining that traffic control. We want to make sure that we have that coordination with the owner until we can really know everything is safe. The building owner's contractor is doing shoring in the building. We'll do some selective demo. We'll be, at that point, very comfortable with where everything sits, and then we can kind of take a step back and let the building owner take it from there, so.
And thank you to you and Street Department for Boyd Boulevard from Ohio to Jefferson. If you haven't driven on there, great. It's very nice.
Quick question, so regarding the building, is there, because I know they're doing some renos, right? Is there any indication that it was anything structural in advance of any kind of reno work?
No, every indication is that, I mean, they were just doing cosmetic work. They really just barely started doing anything at the building. And it's just indication that the building age and where the failure was where the building experienced most weather, and it's just age and deterioration. The plan included some repairs to foundations and things like that, but they had just mobilized, so they hadn't even gotten to those things yet. So there wasn't any work going on that would have caused it. It's just really building age is one of the biggest factors, and then deterioration of the foundation and other elements.
And then to add to that, speaking to one of our large contractors in LaPorte, 50 years ago or so, when Lowe's moved the first floor, some of the structure items to make it the store that it was, that they put this into play 50 to 75
moving
years
structural,
ago
like-
by moving this, that this was going to happen
Yeah.
at some point, and it just coincidentally happened at the time.
Yeah, we think sometime between, we don't even know when, it's between like the 20s and 40s probably, when they started opening the buildings up. Essentially what they did was they took a wall, which, has
Load-bearing walls, right?
load-bearing wall, and they put in a beam, and then that beam rested on a wall section. Well, the wall section wasn't designed as a pier, it was designed as a wall. So the combination of those things, so, maybe that worked for the first 50 years, but it didn't work for 51 years or whatever it was. But it was a situation where, the building was modified decades and decades ago, probably before we even had a lot of the rules we have now for how we handle construction projects and building inspections.
Didn't have the
And
benefit.
the other good news, he said, it was kind of unique versus what other buildings have done. This
Yeah.
is special. It's not like every building is going to fall now. But Nick has come up with an idea also that maybe there are some funds available to partner to allow business owners, which I assume they're doing with their insurance anyway, but to allow a structural engineer come out, review the building. There might be some
That'd be
tuck
great.
pointing
Yeah,
maybe.
that's what I was thinking, just to
Yeah.
make sure that, because there could be other situations where, if it's not a public space where no one has been in there, knows what was done, 50 years ago, where they
Yeah.
didn't have the benefit of HGTV and knowing about, load-bearing walls, right? Everybody should know that now, but anyway, that's what I was thinking, is that we ought to have some way to kind of be able to confirm the safety.
We've identified some grant dollars. I think we're going to need to find some more funds in order to have kind of a voluntary program to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But again, it was, it was unique. We don't have a lot of buildings that were modified in that way. So most of the buildings we see that were constructed as 3 buildings have more like pass-throughs and not just completely opened up. So if you think about it, that beam that they put in is also holding up about a 1 inch or 1 foot thick concrete wall for 2 more stories. So,
And then you combine that with potential shaking.
yeah, all the vibrations and everything that just deteriorates the brick. So weather gets in, vibrations, that's gonna make that brick start failing. So it's a combination of a lot of things, and I think it started early 1900s, and we're just so lucky that it happened when the building was starting to be renovated, and not when people were in it. And again, I think there were some of the issues identified that would have been repaired as the total project, but they weren't to that point yet. So
What's funny, I can completely picture that space, and I think it's right where they had the racks of the slacks that they would like sit down in those little straight hangers. It's like right in the middle of the store.
I thought you weren't even born then.
I was little.
Nick, is that one of the biggest buildings though too in the downtown? I mean, it's like you said, most of the buildings are narrow in comparison to that too, right?
we don't have many buildings that they've taken 3 individually constructed structures
Right.
and combined them into one like that.
I mean, the second biggest one I could think of is the old Hillbish, which is probably
Yeah, but that still has individual units and individual walls in it. It's
Yeah.
not completely opened up like this was.
Nick Otis, legal.
I have the turkey trot on later, Mayor, for approval.
Jeff Batchelor, streets and codes.
We started with leaf pickup on Monday. It's going pretty good. We're slower than what I'd like though, but it's moving along. We also have fall cleanup going on this week for the city. And then for code enforcement, we're about 3,200 violations so far this year. And then with everything that's been going on in the city, we're gonna try to focus on vacant buildings to get in there and just see if people are squatting in the buildings, because especially with it getting colder. So that's kind of our goals for this week, next couple weeks.
Chief Breton.
Just want to announce, if anybody wasn't aware, Jim Reeder, retired police officer, LaPorte, passed away last week. His funeral's today when I leave here. He was also code enforcement, the first code enforcement of the city of LaPorte. I believe he did 22 years, 4 years as assistant chief. And then next Friday, I believe Mayor's going. We have graduation of 3 officers at Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. And Merit Commission's looking to hire for the next 2 spots.
Chief Snyder.
Just our last shift will be going through their annual health screens today. Still working on getting our one open position on the department. We do have an applicant in the process right now, keeping our fingers crossed that he'll make it through the whole process. But we are 1 short as of now.
And I'd just like to say that we're working with chiefs of fire and police. We have to look at new ways to police, new ways to deal with fire, paramedicine, ambulance service, the police, social work. We're trying to work through these different items. It's a new day, and the chiefs and their teams are having to deal with issues that they didn't prepare for or plan for. And there's opportunities here, and so we're going to continue to look at the future of policing, the future of fire, what that means regarding ambulance, and again, paramedicine, because just learning from the hospital, if someone comes in for one issue, they're dealt with, and if they come back within 30 days, the hospital, eats that cost versus having somebody paramedicine-wise going to the home, making sure they're taking their medicine, their diabetes medicine and so forth. So this is an opportunity to take better care of our residents, keep the frequent flyers coming in and out, keeping them at home, better care, better life. And so we're looking at all these options, and Andrea Smith will be working with us. And so I'm excited. It's a new chance. But, you know, with the police, we can't continue to just try to go over the top of the county and Michigan City with pay, because someone's going to run out of money, and we get the less. Even though we led the charge on the future of policing financially, we're the ones that would see we'd fall off first, because we just don't have the funds that the county received or Michigan City received. So we have to think of new ways to do things. So with that, I'm going to take a quick break here from department heads. Mr. Jackson needs to move. If you're okay,
Thank you.
board. Jerry Jackson, wastewater basement protection grant.
I don't have that in front of me.
I do.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, I was running this morning, I left it on my desk.
It was in, oh, here we go.
All right, 108 West 14th Street. That's a combined sewer area. The amount of the grant is $3,000, or the amount of the repair is $3,250. And they don't, I don't have the amount we're paying, that's sitting on the sheet that I've got it. So I'd ask you to approve the grant, and I'll come back with you with the amount that.
And that
our
new,
grant-
the new format that we approved. 'cause I don't remember
Exactly.
exactly what that was either, but that, the new.
Yeah, it'll be
cost
according to the
sharing
new
agreement.
format, yep.
And
Sorry.
there's a cap to it, correct?
Correct, well, our max payout is 5,000, and yeah, we pay the first 1,000, then,
75%?
yes, beyond that.
Is the board comfortable? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Again, anytime we can do this for the residents, it's a good thing for them and a good for us.
We've been getting fewer and fewer because we're knocking out the problem houses. It's a good thing, sorry.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0. And then you have,
Pay request number 7 for our phosphorus project. It's a $1.7 million project. They're at 1.1, so we're at 64%. The tanks are in place. They're closing up the building this week. As I've complained in the past, it's going slow, but it'll get done in time for us to turn it on and get in compliance, and they're doing very good work. I'd recommend payment.
What's the amount of, I don't have a pay
I'm sorry,
request
the,
in front of me either, do you? Either of you?
Current payment due is $150,193.80. 150,193.80.
do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
So what's, what proportion of the project does that cover then?
The
It's 64% complete, if that's what you're
64%
asking.
complete.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, back to department heads. Bert Cook, LEAP.
Good morning, Mayor, Board of Public Works, Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. Later on your agenda under new business, David Heinhold is going to be presenting, it's titled Preliminary and Final Plat for Smoothie King Lot Re-Subdivision. I think if it's acceptable to you, Mayor, I'd maybe hold my comments until David has the opportunity to present. We're asking you to do something in a little different way than we've done previously because of a timing issue. But at that point, if you have other questions for me, I'd be happy to get back up to the mic and address those. But probably would make more sense if he presents before I make any comments on it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Craig Phillips.
Good morning. I've been working on wrapping up, hopefully very soon, the parking study. I'm working with various departments as well as the Traffic Commission on input so we can get the final draft of that put together and then hopefully present it very soon to the community. In addition to that, we're also working with the bid board and in conjunction with the Redevelopment Commission on a plan for not only the Monroe streetscape in that area, but a plan going forward for what we want to do with the streetscape in coming years. As we all know, the infrastructure is aging out. It's been there in place for 25+ years, and we need to have a plan for how we're going to repair and replace elements as they deteriorate or need to be replaced. So we're working with consultants on that as we speak. We have a workshop with the bid board and joint with the redevelopment commission this coming Monday to discuss the findings of that so far and get additional feedback on that. Been busy working on the public offerings, one of which we have later on the agenda for 18th Street, so we'll see how that one goes. And we still have the firehouse bid offering out, so we'll be looking forward to receiving proposals on that. I've been busy working on the annexations, I can finally say, after last night's meeting. It's been taking up a lot of time working with Attorney Otis on that as well. On 2 annexations and more in the future. And then David has a couple just minor announcements for a couple of efforts that we're also working on with along the parks.
Okay. Good morning, Board. Just brief, David Heinold. So tomorrow is going to be a full day of activities. Really excited about that with the Trails, Greenways, and Blueways plan. 10 a.m. we're going to start off with a 5-mile bicycle tour around the city for people to come out and ride along, and we'll go through most of the city, past some of the elementary schools. And then at 11 a.m. we're just going to have a lunch discussion following the bike ride to just kind of talk about things. So city staff can join if they're available for lunch. 2 p.m. we're going to have a walk audit. We're going to walk mostly down Lincoln Way, over by the hospital area, mostly downtown, some of the neighborhood to the west as well. And then 6 to 7:30, there's going to be a public workshop at 807 Indiana, the LaPorte County Exchange Building. It's been well received. We're going to present the survey responses that we've received so far. That's been very responsive. We've had over 130 responses so far, so excited to get that, and that's been since mid-September. So that'll be a good thing, and then there'll be an opportunity for the public to kind of give input on assets, challenges, and barriers to trails, greenways, bike routes, walkability, all of that, and blueways too. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Beth West, Transport.
Morning. November's already started off with a bang. We've already had 2 days where we've had over 190 riders. Yesterday alone, we did 116 for Election Day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we were short-staffed. We go down to just part-timers on holidays, and we were only open 6 to 4. So it's pretty good ridership for a holiday day. Holiday passes are being sold at this time. This is the last week for them. They're $20 passes, just like we did during the summer. You get 10 punches, and then you get a ride for free. As of yesterday, we've sold 185. We did 250 during the summer, so we still have a few more to sell to meet our summer numbers. But we've already had 20 used up, so people are very excited that we're doing this again this holiday, especially with the gas prices as they are right now. Just a reminder to the public that those passes do expire the end of this year. Also working with, I did with Attorney Otis and Clerk Treasurer Parthune, we have a propane bid out that was required by State Board of Accounts that we bid out our propane, since we spend close to $50,000 a year on propane. So they're wanting us to bid that out. So the bid packets are out. Hopefully we'll have some back, and we'll approach that in December. Also working with NERC on trying to find buses. Ford has quit building our chassis, so we're having to punt, basically, and we're hoping to find somebody else that will be manufacturing chassis for us to be able to get new buses, because I have 3 now that need to be desperately replaced.
And will we be available Veterans Day to give rides to the Civic?
Yes, yes. They just need to call and let us know that they're wanting a ride to the Civic, and we will do our best to get you there on time.
I got a quick question on just like the boundary of where, if someone needs a ride, like where could they, is it the city limits? Is it Somebody need to go to
Currently, if
PNC
it,
or?
we're trying right now to go about 2 miles outside the city limits, as long as I have staff working, and we're not tied down with pre-scheduled rides. We were getting a lot of people that are pre-scheduling their rides, so they're calling us 24 hours or more in advance to get to their doctor's appointments on time, to work on time. You'd be amazed as to how many people we're actually taking back and forth to work. So we need to make sure that we're getting them to work on time versus just going to Walmart to shop.
Thanks.
Mark Schreiber, Parks.
Morning. Just a few items for you. First of all, excited, we have a new play structure put in over at Ben Reese Park. The Park Foundation paid for that. It just finished up yesterday, and I think the kids were on, were they on a break yesterday or something?
E-learning.
So as soon as it got put in, we already had a couple kids run across the street, and we're thrilled to be the first ones to play on it. So it was a lot of fun to see that. But thank you to the Park Foundation, and a real nice addition to Ben Reese Park. On another note, we have been having some issues with vandalism. That's one of the areas, the Civic Auditorium area, Ben Reese Park. We had a bunch of carpet and tires dumped out in the parking lot at the Civic near the dumpsters. A reminder to the public, our park department dumpsters, whether they be at the Civic, the park office, out in the parks, those are strictly for departmental use. Those aren't part of the dumpster program. So for those within the city or coming from the county, it is illegal to dump in those up to a $1,000 fine. So just want to remind people of that. But we also had an issue where kids threw some stuff out of the little pantry. We had some vandalism over at Ben Reese Park. And then additionally, we had some vandalism over at Stone Lake Beach over the weekend. So a reminder, this time of year, the parks, it gets a little colder, the parks aren't as populated, but yet there are no barriers to people getting in and out of the parks. So that's typically when we see a lot of bad actors. I mean, these are your parks, so we just ask the public, if you see something, say something. Use the non-emergency line with the police department, call the park office, let us know what's happening in the park so we can react. So a lot better. I mean, we hate to deal with property damage or other issues like that. So another sign that cold weather is coming. Beechwood Golf Course will be closed as of Saturday. So a couple nice days coming up this week to get a couple rounds in. Last day will be Friday, so closed as of Saturday. And then a reminder that the Lepore Brew and Wine Fest is this Saturday from 1 to 4. There is VIP entry starting at noon if you would want to opt for the VIP package. Tickets are available at the Civic. They're available. You can go to the Civic website and get the link to buy them online, or they will be available at the door on Saturday. So it's going to be a great day. A lot of good breweries, wineries, great entertainment, bare bones doing food. So encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the chilly weather. Come inside and enjoy a day with us at the Civic. Thank you.
Department heads, if you do not have business before the board, go have a great day. New business, proposed 2023 holiday schedule.
Make a motion. Are
Annette
we going
Leffler.
over it or just approving it? Oh, she
Yeah,
wants
if
to
you have
talk
any
about it.
questions, I mean, I use the state or the federal holiday schedule as the base. And there's 15 holidays this year, mostly because of because we have an election year next year, I think. And so I've got 2 election days on there. But we kind of lucked out, I don't know if you want to say it like that, but some of the major holidays fall on weekends. And so it's not so bad accommodating the election days.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes. Board of Works meeting schedule.
And it's pretty typical. I stayed with the same date and time. If there's any discussion about that, it's up to you guys. And then I accommodated the Monday, all the Monday holidays and election days.
Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
I wanted to make one comment about the request for use. I have both certificates of insurance for both requests. And on the tree man request, they don't know what day they need to close, and that is Lower Lakeshore Drive, which is the one, one lane and one way. And I told them that they would have to work through Nick to accommodate that if you approved it. That's all I had.
Are we comfortable?
Yeah, so I'd say we approve it, kind of conditional upon engineering approval of the date.
Agreed. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes. Thank you, Annette. Turkey Trot is back.
Yep. Again, we don't really shut the roads down, but I would say mainly to the extent there's any road shutdown, it would be just this block right in front of City Hall. The rest of Michigan Avenue is not shut down for travel, but it's become an annual event. I think it's our 8th one. We have usually about 500 people participate. A lot of families participate, so it's through the LaPorte Educational Development Foundation, which is insured through the school corporation, so looking forward to it. Additionally, last year was the first time we actually used City Hall the night before, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, from 5 to 7 for pre-packet pickup. We'd like to do that again this year. That went very smoothly and made the event Thursday morning a lot easier.
I noticed Annette's walking out when you said that.
There's
Well,
no
I-
request for use.
Yeah, I did not put that on there yet.
Oh,
'cause
you
it-
better come in with chocolates and flowers then, man.
Absolutely. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Motion passes.
You gonna be out there this year, Mayor?
Every year I will be, yes. I might be moving a little slower, but I'll be there. Chief Breton, clear agreement.
I don't know how much of the clear agreement you got. There were several pages that Trish is making copies of right now, the actual contract. That's the aid in our investigations across be all our patrol officers, our detectives. The county has it right now. What it does, it tracks a person through all the unconventional methods, like where they used a card, where they got their last driver's license. It costs $296 a month for the entire department, which is a huge tool. And before we called over to the sheriff's department, said, would you look this person up and clear? When that takes time, takes them away. This is something that everybody will have their hands on 24/7.
So without getting into like specific investigations, you got like maybe a drug dealer or something come from Chicago where
Right.
they're not from here, you can get access to
Yes.
things in Illinois, yeah.
We'll put every car that was ever registered to them or tied to them. It's a company that manages all that database, that their name came up on something. Well, right now, we work off our local, but this will go across state lines.
And if that plate registers while they're driving through LaPorte, it will connect to you to say, hey, we've got this person in the city right now.
Yeah, that's a little different system, but this would be, they would have access to that as well. It's clear.
Is there a certain number of users, licenses for this software?
Right,
Like
that takes us up to 50. It goes from zero,
That's a
it goes
lot.
from 1 to 24, or 1 to 8, and then it was only a few dollars more to take the whole department.
So this is would this be available mobile, like?
Yes.
In the vehicle, an officer could? Okay.
Everybody has a username. If we sign up now, the reason I waited till right now, they're giving us the rest of November and all of December for nothing. We don't start paying for this till January. At that time, it comes out of our lit, public safety lit.
Is it, can we cancel it at any time?
It's the contract, I believe, was 3 years.
Okay, all right.
It's
How long
proved
does the sheriff's
invaluable.
department bid on it, do you know, for?
At least 2 years.
Okay, all right. And they find it, they?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is
So-
a pretty common group that, I mean, this Thomson Reuters does all of our accounting software, interestingly enough, maybe for you guys legal or other things too, for search databases. So it's a pretty large organization.
And I took a page out of the mayor's bargaining. They were gonna give us a month, and I said, how about if I get this passed first in November, you give me 2? So, I'm learning to be that salesman.
Well done.
And again, you see, as we talk about the future of police and fire, technology is an important part of that. So this is one example. So with that, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Andrea Smith.
Good morning again, board members. Andrea Smith, Director of Human Resources. Today I have 3 job descriptions before you. These are all brand new. The first one is the Communication Director. Although the Communication Director has been in that position since 2020, no job description was ever done for it. Originally, it was brought in as a contract position. Jessica approached me. I tried to find one. None was ever, not a job description was crafted for that position. I worked with Jessica and some neighboring communities that do have a communication director, and we came up with a solid, thorough, and strong job description. I'm asking that you approval for that job description.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So
Are we
moved.
doing these all at the same time or separately?
Can we do them all at the
Yeah.
same time? So why don't you go on and we'll,
Thank you, Board. The second one are 2 job descriptions for the Park Department. Both Superintendent Schreiber and Civic and Event Director Ben Versi helped craft these as well. They did a fantastic job. I only had minor tweaks to them, and both Director and Superintendent are here to elaborate more. These 2 positions are in the 2023 salary ordinance. So again, they are also brand new. They are solid, strong, and hats off to Mark and his staff for starting them.
and if they don't mind coming up to speak on this, but I'll tell you this, we were very understaffed, and especially when we're becoming more and more of an events community, using the buildings we have, the Civic, we don't
It's
have the
time.
staff, yes.
Yeah, it's past time to get some help for both of them.
Yeah, both positions definitely are very much needed. As you know, we've been growing as a department all around. We had an outstanding year at Beechwood, but the Civic's been doing more and more. And we've been taking more on as the Park Department, different programs, additional things such as the Senior Center, our trail expansion. So we had the need for another administrator. So the 2 things, one thing I'd really like to point about these 2 positions are, these are not out of the general fund. These are things that our departments are budgeting. Brett is paying for his assistant through the Civic non-reverting. So these are incomes that we are earning by having events at the Civic, revenues generated there. And we're going to be doing similar with the Park Department. And one of the reasons why we need that position is because we need additional revenues. As a department, we're growing very quickly. We want to be able to keep up on not just maintenance, but on the administrative end of it, writing more grants, staying on top of executing all of the grant monies and things that we get. And so large part of what this new administrator will do will be in development and helping us find new opportunities in sponsorship, grants, donations, and they'll be working closely with the Park Foundation. I'll let Brett say just a couple things about the assistant position that he's hiring part-time.
But before Brett does, I'd also like to say about Mark's position, our goal, not relying on property taxes, because we don't think that's a option for the future. We have to start not relying on those because we don't know what the state may do in the future regarding property taxes. Generating our own revenue, being responsible to the taxpayer, and they've really bought in, the Park Department, and Mark needs to spend his time as well looking for alternative funding, going out to the public, looking at ways to generate revenue to pay for programs and different things other than property taxes. So I appreciated his support.
Thanks, everyone. Just to elaborate a little more on the Assistant Events Director position that we wrote up. Once again, we've taken on a lot more at the Civic over the last 12 to 18 months. Very happy to do so. We're happy that we've reduced our draw on property taxes by over $100,000 in the last 12 months. We're hoping to do more, and the creation of this position is going to assist us in doing so. As many people know, we're doing the Friday Night Live events. We're helping organize the Sunflower Fair, the Farmers Market, and various other events throughout the city, including the Santa Parade, et cetera. And the addition of the Assistant Events Director will help
not only in the execution and growing of our events, but also I think in bettering them and making them more profitable and more enjoyable for our community. The better we can do in revenue fundraising for these events through sponsorships and identifying new opportunities, I think the better we can handle our property tax situation and make sure that we reduce the draw of the Civic on the city and the community while still providing a great product for everyone as well. So please take that into consideration on the job description.
Further comments, Andrea?
No, Mayor, no board. Again, these are 3 solid job descriptions that I'm seeking your approval on.
Comments?
I think it's incredible. It's so tough to kind of create inertia in these types of events and bringing in, different revenue streams. And it seems like, the ball is starting to roll now with in terms of bringing in more revenue to be able to kind of self-fund, the activities at the Civic. It's very exciting to see this happening.
We have a great team.
Yeah.
Well, and
Thank you.
ultimately, I think that both of the positions should in turn pay for themselves by creating the new revenue, and which Brett is already doing. And, I see any event I go to at the Civic, Brett is there all the time. I'm not sure if he has a house there, a little room in the basement, but he puts in some serious hours there. So, yeah, it's definitely time for them both to have some extra help.
And well needed. The help is well needed.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. And thank you for finding that with the communications director.
Thank you.
Who's been a fantastic 3-year addition as well.
She is.
David Heinold.
Morning, Board. David Heinold, Planning Department. Just bringing before you received the plat for, it's a re-subdivision of one lot where Smoothie King sits at Madison and Newport Boulevard. They're separating that 1.43 acres into 2 lots. Bringing this before you for pending approval of the Plan Commission. We had to readjust the Plan Commission meeting date to next week, so it'd be November 16th. But I think Bert has some comments, but I went through it, and this is kind of standard process as far as the subdivision is the Board of Works has to approve both the preliminary and the final plat. So just bringing this before you for pending approval for the Plan Commission.
Bert Cook, would you like to add to this? And share with who might be coming in?
No.
That part, but, so when Smoothie King purchased this lot, they purchased about twice the acreage they needed. Originally, their project was going to be larger in scale. They've negotiated a potential sale of that portion of the property. The end user aligns very well with our strategy in the area. I think the Redevelopment Commission is excited to see them, move forward. The only real difference between this and a more typical process is just with the timing that David referenced. We're basically talking like 59 days. They're going to have to wait because they missed the Plan Commission date, and then we had to reschedule. So, asking for your support of this pending the ultimate approval by the Plan Commission. But I can tell you, I don't want to assume that they're going to do anything, but there's nothing out of the ordinary here. I would expect unanimous support from the Plan Commission, and we'd like to help them move forward as quickly as possible. Happy to answer other questions if you have, other than who it is that's the ultimate end user.
So just, it looks like that new line is kind of fundamentally, just splitting off the pieces that they need for their parking, the drive, the exit, and then leaving that remaining piece for the prospective buyer.
That's exactly.
Okay.
We're doing this for a reason.
Yeah,
The original plan was for them to build a multi-tenant building that would house Smoothie King as well as others. That didn't come to fruition, partially because of the way it was financed and just the timing of everything. So they built a standalone Smoothie King, and now they're going to sell off that additional parcel to somebody else who will build a standalone building there as well, consistent with that.
Is there any downside, and maybe this is looking to Mr. Otis, is there any downside to us approving this in advance of,
Contingent upon the approval of the redevelopment.
okay.
Planning
there-
Commission.
Planning
sorry.
Commission.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And contingent upon, okay, planning commission. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And I'll tell you, I just have to say this. This is another example. You mentioned the momentum at the Civic. I was just speaking to a couple department heads, and I feel bad that everybody's being, I don't feel bad about pushing for excellence and pushing to improve, but we have so many things happening in our community right now, and our department heads are busting butt to keep up, to do these things, and they are taxed. They don't complain, at least to my face. But we have a great team, and there are things that are going to change our community that are in the process of happening. And I just want to thank all of them, because I don't say it enough publicly. There's a lot of work going on right now, and touching a little bit of everything. We're fortunate that we have who we have, and wait till you see what's coming. So we're excited. So with that, Beth West.
I had a request from NERC. We needed to adjust the date on one of our grants. So I just need approval to get signatures, basically. They need to pay out of this grant, and the date originally wasn't long enough, and we need to extend it.
What was the previous date?
I believe what was changed, what they told me was they were backdating it. It wasn't January of '21, I believe it was January of '22, so they needed to push that. We're actually going backwards instead of forward, so.
Oh, I see. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Yep.
Thank you, Beth. Jeff Batchelor.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, one of our dump trucks, the dump on the whole truck basically just fell off if we lifted it up. So we can't use it with the snow season coming up. We need to get a new dump on the back of it. I got 2 quotes because it's kind of an emergency. When we talked to Courtney before about it, we were quoted $50,000 for it. With the 2 quotes that I have in front of you now, one's for $23,640 from W.A. Jones, and the other one's from Hoosier Equipment for $32,410. And because it's an emergency, I would like to go with the $23,640. And there's a picture of it in the back of that one if you see it.
And how will this be funded?
CCD.
And if you weren't aware, can you explain how you do dump trucks? You welding?
Yeah, what we were doing, because we've had problems with the dump trucks where they're just falling apart. We actually went and bought 4x8 pieces of steel to put in the inside of the dump trucks to just, rather than spend $50,000. So we've tried to work and get as much out of the beds of the dump trucks as we possibly can. But it's too unsafe to try to do that now.
So with buying this bed, basically you bring it up to like the specs that you would want right off the bat, right? With
Yes.
this versus, okay.
Yeah, it'd be a fully functioning truck. It'd be like brand new, really, to tell you the truth.
And you have one other truck that is in need of, hasn't totally fallen apart, but it's in need of work
And
also.
that's the one I was talking about, that we put the steel in, and the steel seems to be doing good. So, that's just something that we're gonna need probably next year, but that's already budgeted. This just came, all of a sudden, we just can't wait, because the snow comes, we need a truck.
Gotcha, okay. And so that second truck, the next truck, you said it's already budgeted for next
Yeah,
year?
that was part of what we
all right.
talked about.
So, I do have a motion.
No.
So moved. The
Second.
approve, yeah.
Further questions? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Nick Minnick.
First item I have is we opened the emergency vehicle preemption bids or quotes at the last meeting. We did review, and Hawk Enterprise is the lowest, most responsive bidder. Recommend award to Hawk Enterprise in the amount of $47,800.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, and again, this is for the light.
This is for 3 signals immediately adjacent to the East Side Fire Station. And then we're also working on extending that throughout all of the signals in the city. We do have a proposal from our consultant to continue with the INDOT design for that. I'll have that before the board next time. It was a little higher than I'd hoped.
So, but this bid is only for just the 3 adjacent to the east side?
Correct.
So I do have a motion
And a second.
and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. And Nick, just as another update, the quiet zone, will all the guards go up at all the signals or just the ones at where they are?
We've completed everything necessary for our quiet zone. We're now waiting on the Federal Rail Administration in Norfolk Southern to complete our diagnostic field visit, and then, it'll be notice will be put out and it'll go into effect. So we're kind of waiting on the railroad at this point. Hopefully we'll be able to push them to get that meeting set as soon as possible.
And can you explain to the public why you don't need to put those guards up if you haven't seen them on?
Everything is based on Pulaski and
Pulaski.
Boston Street right now. So everything is based on safety. So looking at the safety of each individual intersection, what kind of safety features they have, and making sure that they meet a standard that we have kind of citywide at the highest level of safety possible. So those specifically needed kind of the center curb with the delineators in order to keep people from going around. A lot of our other crossings already have the double gates, or they're maybe not necessary for other reasons. But those were the 2 crossings identified that needed improvement in order to get to our quiet zone, and that is complete.
Great. Can you imagine what it'll be like without a safer crossings and without the horns? Quiet zone, and it's very important to Northwest Health as well.
Yeah.
So, great, recommended award, ice rink, and I just want to remind the public, the ice rink, when we said we discussed this, we treat it like a business. We never once said we were going to pay for any portion of the ice rink. Our goal was to have the public pay for the ice rink and not use city funds. So that's the way every day we're working hard to protect tax dollars and find other ways to fund things that the public want. When they told us 2.5, 3 years ago, they want more to do in our community. So with that, I think we do have awards or award.
Yeah. We did receive 1 bid for the provide ice rink. The bid came with an option for essentially a 3-year lease purchase, more or less. The total cost of that 3-year lease purchase option is $160,000. Then in the end, we would have all the equipment and everything in place. So we can kind of break it down. It's an initial. This details here. Initial season would be $45,000 at the beginning, and then $45,000 when skating begins, and then season 2 would be $35,000, and season 3 would be $35,000. So at the end of that period, we would then own the rink. Is what this proposal is for.
And I'd also like to thank Mr. Schreiber for going out, soliciting funds, sponsorships, and so forth to make this happen.
So how, with these numbers, those don't quite add up to 160.
Yeah, they don't add up. 45, 35, 35, or
150.
245?
No, 45.
45s.
2 45s.
245 for year,
245s.
basically year one,
Yep.
which is now and.
So a total of 90 in
23.
year one, which year one also includes, the first year includes the rental of the chiller and all, and kind of more setup, and then the second 2 years is more so to kind of ease us into owning and operating a rink.
So at the end of that 3-year period, we own all the equipment,
Minus the chiller. Chillers are leased.
and then what was the math on this last year? 'Cause that-
It was,
that
it was
only-
over 60,000 when we did it last year. if I
Like
re-
to pay for it?
We rented it.
You
Right,
rented it and it was
for 1 year.
60?
Over 60.
Over 60, okay. And then, so what was the, I guess, the revenue
The
from that?
revenue.
We'll have to, Mark.
Yeah, so last year, it was over 60. I think all told, it was right around $70,000. And we also took it out of season, so that's what made it more, less expensive, because it was in another location in December, January. We took it mid-January through, and we also only had it for, I think, for 5 weeks, so, absolutely. So, yeah, again, an ice rink isn't going to pay for itself. That's why we need the sponsorships and the backing of it and everything like that. So, but we will do skating again. We'll do group skating. We will have skate lessons, everything that we had last year. So we really feel like this brings a lot of great recreational value at a time of year where there's not a lot of family options or a lot of healthy options to get out and do things. And also, it's going to be a great attraction for the downtown. Ultimately, you know, in our vision, we see a permanent rink in the downtown area somewhere. And this keeps that momentum going until ultimately we can get to that spot. So, and then at that point, if we do a permanent rink, we can use this rink at other locations around town. So, really just gives us the opportunity to have a great winter amenity for a number of years to come.
And it's interesting because people say, hey, why don't you do a ice rink like Valpo does? And I think Valpo began their first few years with I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, they just had a synthetic ice rink, a small one that they set up in their downtown that, again, steadily built momentum until they had the public sentiment and the financial backing to go out and actually create what is now Urschel Pavilion. And of course, a lot of people have gone over and enjoyed that. And ultimately, that's what we hope to see at our community. So we want to keep that momentum. We know a lot of people really love the ice. We had almost 1,000 people skate on it last year over a 5-week span. So we're excited to bring it back, and we've already sensed a great deal of excitement. And as the mayor said, you know, we'll continue to reaching out to our partners, different foundations, as well as downtown businesses or other local businesses or families that want to sponsor or make a donation to make sure this continues to happen for our community every winter.
And as we develop our future active living campus, when we talk about quality of life, potentially we could see a rink somewhere between downtown, in Newport Landing, in downtown. But once we have the bridge that crosses the tracks, the walking bridge, it'll be amazing the connection that will bring from downtown to our Newport Landing area, and it's special.
Nick, on the chiller, so we won't own a chiller? And what will that cost, like, what's our annual cost with that?
We can find out. It
It would
I think
be
it
about,
vary.
Depending on use.
Depending, yeah. So, yeah, we'll be able to rent a chiller annually for $25,000 for a 2-month period. So again, that's something that we will budget to raise on an annual basis through sponsorships as well.
And why don't we want to own one? What's just
They're very expensive. And, you know, adds a great deal of cost to it.
And we're already ahead of the game that it'll be included in year one here. or I
Yeah,
guess
it's
year-
included, it's
year
included
two.
in this year, so it'll be taken care of. And again, I mean, these are options that other communities are now offering. I just saw Facebook yesterday, Mishawaka unveiling their brand-new Zamboni rolling off of a truck. You know, they've got a beautiful skating ribbon that they've just opened up on the Riverside, Howard Park, Valparaiso, Crown Point. You know, it's not a keeping up with the Joneses, it's just simply we want to give our residents the same opportunities and the same winter type of activity that we see in these other communities, and obviously continue momentum to having that permanent rink.
And so, in doing this, then the rink would not be coming in February, we'd have it.
We could put it up
We could
we'll
put
be
up
putting it
anytime.
up this year, we'll be putting it up at the end of the month.
This month?
this month.
But you made it sound like, so when we rent a chiller for 2 months, it'll be 20 grand, but we're gonna put up a rink this month through February or
We
longer?
can put it up as long as we want. The chiller's included in this year's payment.
Right.
For that, even putting up at the end of the month through the season, basically, like, that would.
We could potentially, again, it will, I'm not sure we would go all the way through the end of February with it this year. There's other things, considerations, labor and, other things, and we'll have to see, obviously see what momentum it gains. But as far as the chiller, we have the chiller rented for this year.
And the nice thing is, we can always in the future, wherever we decide to have a rink, if we do decide to have a rink, we can move this rink somewhere else. We could sell the rink, bring back those funds. So we've got great opportunity. It's a good, I think, business decision because it did get a lot of support last year.
Yeah, and again, to keep in mind, we got it at a discounted price last year. To rent it for this year alone would have been $110,000. So we're actually purchasing it for $160,000. So considering we know that we're going to be using it for the upcoming 3, 4, 5 years in some capacity, makes a lot more sense than just continually trying to rent one.
We're purchasing it without using city funds.
Correct, and we're not using general budget or park non-reverting or any of those type of funds.
So, yeah, so that brings up two questions. Where's the money coming from? I mean, you hope to get corporate sponsors and other that, but
Yeah,
where
we've
is the
already reached out
initial
to
money
different
coming from?
foundations and all the partners that we usually use to fund park amenities, whether it be Healthcare Foundation, Park Foundation, UEA. We've reached out to all those types of
Visitors
partners.
Bureau.
Visitors Bureau. And again, we're also going to obviously be turning to local businesses, as we did last year. And we had a nice number of local businesses. And of course, any local families that would want to make a donation to this. Because, again, we found that a lot of people did have a very sweet spot for having that type of amenity during the winter months.
What's the longevity of this asset?
Oh, I mean, you would, basically, as long as you keep replacing tubing, which is something that has to be done, a new liner has to be purchased every 2 or 3 years. I mean, there's upkeep on it, but it could last, 10, 15 years additionally.
And it'll be on the park department to maintain it?
Yes, it will be a park department. Yep. We will keep it within the park department, store it. And again, part of this agreement will be also that they will be, for the 3 years of the agreement, they will be coming every year helping us set it up so we learn the ropes and learn how to maintain. And it's a great relationship. The person who bid on it is the same person that we rented from last year. Wayne Siebold, he's a former Olympian skater. He's a 3-term mayor of Marion, Indiana, lives just an hour and a half away, and he's been very receptive to wanting to build this out for us.
And we have to cut them a check each of those 3 years. So if we don't get the same service, that check, can get slow. Further questions? I do have a motion to approve.
No, you do not.
So
Oh,
moved.
that's right, we started
And,
talking.
do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Did each of you enjoy the rink downtown?
It was up during tax season, so I might get to enjoy it this year.
But you can come hang out and have
come hang
hot
out,
or hot
I'll
chocolate.
bring my daughter, yeah.
Our firm was a sponsor, so we got
Yes.
a couple hours for free, and I went, but to save on ambulances, I did not get on the ice. So.
Do they have chairs? where
Yeah,
you
do
can-
they have?
Yeah, I think
Right?
they do, yeah.
Schneider Pay Application 3, the Civic roof is moving.
Yep, we have the final pay application for the Civic roof. It's in the amount of $436,375.73. This completes the roof portion of the project. Everything was completed appropriately, and we're all happy with the work.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So there's no retainage left, there's nothing left, we're done.
No, that's
And we're
payout for the
happy
roof
and.
project, yeah.
Okay. Great.
And it's only the beginning.
And just, I will mention, the total contract sum for this portion was $631,946. That included the lighting, asbestos survey, roofing, and then that change order we did to prepare for the HVAC upgrades.
Coming
So
through.
included in this amount is the roof, but we've completed other things today too.
Right.
Ready for HVAC.
Yeah.
And new seating,
Yes.
which will be phenomenal. If you can picture what that facility will look like, it'll be amazing. Also, I think we need to, and I know the park's working on this, we spend so much time putting down and taking up the rubber cover, the flooring. It's
Imagine.
the labor we will save, and Mr. Schreiber, Mr. Benversi are working on a cover, hopefully an automatic cover, but at least a pull cover that can address that in a matter of minutes versus hours. So that's number one. And then number two, eventually I'd like to see is when you come to center court, if you turn around and look back, what looks to be old shag carpet up on the walls, we'd certainly love to clean that up eventually as well, because it looks like, it was put in the 70s and somebody's front living room. It hasn't been cleaned for a while. So I think there's something good that could go there.
Can't quite picture it, but
I can't either.
yeah.
And then you see it and you go, oh my gosh, we got
How
to do
did I
something
miss
here.
that?
Yes.
Yeah. You can't unsee it.
So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Exciting time. We talk housing, and Craig Phillips has led the charge, and I really appreciate all of Craig's efforts between this and the annexation for the future.
Okay, so we put out a public bid offering for the 18th Street property between A and I Streets, and as part of the several housing opportunities that we have for development in the city that we have or will be putting out for offer. As part of the 30 by 30 initiative. Joni has the bid, I believe, that we received.
Right, I have the proof of publication. It was advertised in the Herald Dispatch on September 16th and September 30th. I believe they gave us probably enough for everyone to have. A little copy.
Nice. You happy?
That.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Mr. Otis, since this is part of that, the land swap with the school, should I abstain from this?
No, because we own this at this point, correct?
Oh, so it does.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable.
Thank you.
At this point, yeah, you're not conflicted on this, yep.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
The bid that we received was Steiner Homes LTD, and then I'll let you guys take it from there.
Just one bid?
Just one.
Want me to read the bid? Want me to read the bid?
Please.
Sure.
Okay, so it says, it's dated November 17th, that's not, November 7th, that's a typo, November 7th. Steiner Homes and Michiana Shores Property is excited to work with the City of LaPorte to partner with them on the property generally known as the 18th Street Greenway Infill Development Project located near the southwest corner of A Street and 18th Street. Parcel IDs listed. We are offering $171,700 for the property. We're proposing to build 11 paired homes for a total of 22 individual units. The units will consist of ranches and 2 stories with an anticipated market value in the mid-300s to mid-400s. We will make a deposit of $10,000 upon acceptance of this agreement. We'll close on the property in June of 2023. We're asking for 180-day due diligence period to research utilities availability, banking approvals, and all city approvals. After the 180-day due diligence period is over, the buyer has 30 days to close on the property. We're asking the city participate with Steiner Homes on the infrastructure of sewer extension to the back lots of the west parcel. Thank you for consideration, and we look forward to working with the City of LaPorte on this project and future projects. So that, just to note, that bid is for more than the minimum bid required on the property. And I would just request that the board allow us to take this under advisement, review, and proceed from there.
And I'd also like just to talk, as this develops, even affordable, maybe a small percentage, more affordable, and that may have to be incentivized for the builder to consider, but it'd be a good blend.
And we can talk to them about that, yeah. We didn't make that a stipulation
Right.
of the offer, but we can discuss that.
As we move forward. So do I have a motion to take this under consideration?
So moved.
When are we bringing it back then?
I believe we'll bring it back
At the next meeting?
In 2 weeks.
Okay, all right. Just make sure we're staying on the timeline.
December,
No, November.
I'm sorry, November
22nd.
22nd meeting, yeah.
Okay.
That's fantastic that Steiner Homes, who's been all around except in LaPorte, as a regional builder, is coming into our community and bidding. This is
And they
great.
They build quality homes, so they're definitely a quality home builder.
I think they're very well known too. So, as I've told you, things are starting to move in LaPorte. So with that, I do have a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh,
Discussion. So just to double check on this with the, well, number one, so this is kind of the visual of like the two-story and the single-story duplex.
Yep.
Okay, I just hadn't seen that kind of configuration before. And then with these, with the layout here, so that drive, the garages won't be on 18th Street.
No, they'll be on the
They'll be
rear.
on the back.
Yep.
And then that will be, I mean, will that be like a standard width street?
That will be an alley.
Kind of an alley, okay.
They're working with the city engineer to assure us that that's built to city standards. And yeah, we've gotten those specs to them so that they meet our standards for the construction of that.
And there will not be an exit onto 18th Street for every home. It'll be one.
Just
The way they have it sketched up, they'll have a couple entrances, but what's really important for us is that really limits the kind of the points of conflict along 18th Street, because it's a pretty busy street as is, and we don't want lots of driveways along the street, so this solves that issue, and I think it's attractive, and you can walk out your front door right to the 18th Street Greenway and go wherever you want.
Nick, how will this interact? There's a couple houses in that area right now. Will the drive go behind that?
The way they have it sketched is that they would not go behind the existing houses. And that's something that, I think they can work with those homeowners on and figure out what the right solution is. I think those homeowners have indicated that they would like to, maintain the character of their properties as is, and that may mean working with the developer. So.
And as well, regarding homeowners, just as a reminder, we continue to work with the one homeowner. He's been maintaining a very, very small piece of land that isn't officially his, but has been maintaining for years. That shouldn't be a problem to just transfer ownership of that piece to him. And then number two, the opportunity to possibly move the garden. And I think there'd be a great, Les Levenhagen has had that garden for many years, to possibly help move that garden somewhere where kids can participate, whether at the middle school, with the school system, put somewhere out there. That could be great. You're staring at me like you don't like that.
That farmland is on the other side of his house. That's part of this?
No, not that we.
Not currently.
Correct.
The corner,
On the south?
right?
Correct.
So the south is owned by the schools.
Not
South of that tree line that parallels 18th Street.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of, you're talking about his garden. I'm sorry,
His
I said
garden up on
farmland.
18th Street.
The garden that's
kinda
on
near that
18th
easement
Street,
area, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, we would have to relocate that, and that would go as far west as the next house to the west. So it's two separate
I guess I assumed that he owned all of that with his garden. Sorry,
he
I'm just
doesn't own the
taking it.
garden.
Yeah, I'm trying to
He
take it
doesn't
all
own
in.
that property, but being a
He's
good
just been
neighbor.
using it and taking care of it.
But we want to work with them to relocate it.
I see. Gotcha.
Try to find them find him an opportunity to relocate it.
And
We
what
have
a
some
Been a good
ideas on where
steward
that
of
might
the
be able to
property,
happen.
right? Yeah.
And what a great chance to share with the kids and teach them garden.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can move that. I mean, and this will all be north of the tree line.
Mm-hmm.
And then the school system will probably be so excited, they're gonna wanna continue to build south of the tree line someday. And,
It looked like you were asking me something. Is there a question in there, Counselor?
No. With that, I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Exciting, exciting. Craig, good job. Are you excited, Craig? All right, unfinished business, Toys for Tots collection has begun. You can drop off new unwrapped toys at City Hall, or a check, or cash. This Thursday, tomorrow, November 10th, we will kick off the Red Bucket campaign at City Hall with the coffee pour, the Salvation Army coffee pour from 8 to 10. Former Mayor Milo, former Mayor Kroback, and former Mayor Lee Morris will be here.
Did you say next Thursday?
This Thursday, tomorrow, from 8 to 10, as we begin for the Salvation Army Christmas buckets that will be out. And again, we will not be participating with Michigan City in the competition unless they're prepared to tell us they're going to give us a better effort to compete for money. That could be in December. So once I hear that from Mayor Perry, then we'll begin the Michigan City LaPorte Challenge for the Salvation Army. Also, the Veterans Day ceremony is Friday, November 11th at the Civic Auditorium. There will be coffee and donuts in the lower level from 9 to 10. The ceremony will begin at 10:30, and there will be a spaghetti lunch at the VFW. The lunch is free to a veteran and guest, but the public can come and just pay for the lunch. And I'd encourage everybody to come out, sit with the veteran, thank them for their service for our freedom. And congratulations and thanks to all the individuals that ran for office yesterday. It takes a lot to put yourself out there. I'm excited. Today's a new day, and we have to begin a process of developing candidates that want to do the right thing for the community, stay out of the nastiness, try to focus on what you're going to do to move forward. And those that are going to be elected, we're excited to talk to them about the corridor that they've said, some have said they support during the campaign. We're going to hold them to that. And, coming back from Southern Indiana last week from the mayor's conference and seeing all the development from Southern Indiana to the north side of Indianapolis, and then you come here and watch a commissioners meeting, which is an embarrassment on all sides. We have to get our focus and our priority, what's right, and it's time. Enough is enough. Let's move forward. We have too much opportunity here into our community to be dealing with all the nastiness. So let's get focused on what's important. And you see what happens when we do. We get bids like this for construction of homes. So anybody else comment?
Mayor, we had a question.
Yes.
Online from Matthew McClure. What happened to the Christmas lights downtown? And that might be a bid. I don't know when that goes up. I don't know that anything's happened to them. I just
don't think they've gone up yet. Craig Phillips?
Well,
It is
I
bid
wanted to call in,
district.
Jeff can help me
Yeah,
with
they're-
installation.
it's just hasn't went up yet.
Yeah, okay. So they'll be up this year.
Yeah,
Nothing
they're
different.
still coming up. Next week, we'll get the tree, Tuesday. So it'll be,
Plaza?
yeah, for the plaza, and it's gonna be decorated on Friday.
Is it still the Boy Scouts that go around and decorate the pear trees with all
It
the
is
white
not.
lights? It's not anymore? Okay.
No, but we tested all the lights and wreaths and everything. We've spent quite a bit of time making sure that's all ready to go, and it's going to be going up soon, thanks to the help of Jeff's team, Jeff and Mike's team.
Everybody.
It's not even Thanksgiving yet. But I have seen Christmas decorations out already, so.
I think as a resident, I'd like to see those leaves picked up. You got a lot going on, so thank you for doing that. Mayor, I'd like to echo what you said about the elections. I'm not an employee of the city, I'm contracted, but you got all these people in here that are employees, and they're entitled, we didn't have anybody up for election in the city, but entitled to stability, right? Knowing who their leader is and not being ridiculed by their leader, and what we have going on here right now is a very special thing, and hopefully we can continue that for the next couple of years and get some big projects going.
Absolutely. The next meeting will be Tuesday, November 22nd. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.